This week on the Linux Action Show, Intel and Nokia announce Migo, and we step into the ring and go a few rounds in our earth-shattering debate, did Intel just kill Maemo? Then we discuss Symbian going open source and report on the Nouveau open source Nvidia Driver's performance. Then we update you on the new format of the Linux Action Show and our plans for future episodes. All this week on the Linux Action Show. And welcome to the Linux Action Show, Season 11, Episode 1. My name is Brian. With me is Chris.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Chris.
The Open Tablet 7 runs Linux. Now check this sucker out, Brian.
Okay,
this
ready.
makes the iPad look like a child's play toy. First of all, it looks like a pretty slick unit. It comes with a nice touch screen, and it's got built-in Wi-Fi, 802.11, and multi-touch display. Some people are saying up to 10 fingers with HDMI out for video.
Oh, nice.
And get this. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It is Migo ready. Oh, hold your thoughts. We'll talk about that later. More about that later. It comes with a nice docking station, slides right in.
Nice.
It's got a camera on it. What a novel idea.
It just looks so nice.
And the dock, which I really dig, the dock has an Ethernet port on the back.
Oh, that's cool. It looks like a USB jack in the back.
Yeah,
too?
and a little audio jack too.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a really slick little unit.
That's
now,
awesome.
No word on price yet, but the availability is targeted for the second half of this year.
Dude, that is rad.
Yeah.
That is absolutely rad. So for those of you who are tuning in right now, you may be wondering, Linux Action Show, wait, what? I thought that show was dead.
I thought that we ended that show, Brian.
I thought that became like a Windows show or something like that. No, it's the Linux Action Show, and here we are. That's all there is to say about that.
You can't say we don't listen to feedback. We heard you guys. We see what you said, and I think we just decided that the show needed a spot. Now the Computer Action Show is going to be on hiatus now,
and you know, I gotta say, there's a little bit more to it than that. I needed the Linux Action Show.
You needed it.
I needed it.
You needed the Linux Action Show in your life.
For me personally. This is the spot. So those of you who can see the audio or the video right now, this is my heart.
Yeah.
See my heart right here, Chris?
Right.
That's this part of me needed the Linux Action Show.
I knew you had one.
Yeah. So on that note, on the most Linuxy related note possible, for those of you seeing the video version of the show, hopefully this isn't keying out too bad.
Yeah, a little bit.
What you're seeing right here is a soda pop. Now, I was over at Microsoft main campus the other day, so as you can tell, it's Linux related. There we go. There we go. And I picked up this soda from from their little fridges there. It is, I kid you not, Windows Phone beverage.
And it's lemon lime. That's why it might kill a little bit, because it's
what
green.
This really is this just the lemon lime sparkling water, but it doesn't say it's just sparkling water anywhere.
No.
It just says Windows Phone, new Windows phones available with AT&T, Verizon, Sprint. That's all it friggin' says anywhere. You're looking around,
you know
like, what is this?
It goes like this.
It's just Windows Phone flavored beverage.
Ubuntu.
Hold on. Oh, nice. Yeah. You can hear that Windows Phone flavor coming right out of that can.
Here's how it works, dude. Ubuntu gets default YouTube search, which uses Bing.
All right, so after a quick taste, a little bitter.
It's lemon lime.
A little bitter. Not that flavory.
So Ubuntu now has search by Bing from Microsoft. Ergo, the Linux Action Show now has a beverage from Microsoft. You see how that works?
I see how that works. Oh, Lord in heaven.
Yahoo, you search, not
Hey,
YouTube.
do we got a little GoDaddy promo?
Well, you know, we should say hey to our boys over at GoDaddy. Now, we've got a little clip to run for them, but before we do that, I do want to say, if you use our code Linux, you'll save 10% off any order at GoDaddy.com.
Or Linux 20.
Yes, sir.
And you save 20% off of shared hosting.
That's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Thank you, GoDaddy.
In a time of fear and moral censorship, one company boldly went against the grain and brought you this, and this, and this. That company is GoDaddy.com. You've seen our Super Bowl commercials, and you've heard the critics. Lowest of the low. Touchdown worthy. Cheesy. Brainless boobage. Most watched Super Bowl commercial. Classy? Of course not. Just sad. Think you can do better? Prove it. Whatever you think of our ads, this is your chance to show us how it should be done. Think you can make it funnier, Edgier, catchier, even classier. Maybe you'd like to redefine the way we advertise entirely. We are giving away great prizes to the best submissions, and we'll show the winning commercials on our website. Visit www.godaddy.com/contest to learn more about the GoDaddy Commercial Contest.
That's a wrap.
That right there was GoDaddy.
Yes, sir.
Video in your face.
Now, Brian, was there anything else you wanted to cover in this in the very top of the Linux Action
We've
Show?
got way too much news to cover. We got to get right into it. We got stuff happening, and we need to talk about it.
All right, Brian. Well, let's do the news.
What's new in the news this week?
All right, Brian. Our top story on the news
epic.
docket for this
That
week.
was epic. That right there made the show.
Fist
We
bump.
need to end it. Call it good. Sorry, everybody. This is the last episode of the Linux Action Show. We cannot do any better than that.
Intel and Nokia announce Migo for a new era of mobile computing. Now, we have talked about Migo.
Why did I drink this window soda again?
I mean, not Migo. We have talked about
I'm thirsty, and this is all I...
Maemo quite a bit.
Okay.
We got a Maemo device right here.
We got to give a little bit of background on what's going on here. I'm sure every one of you has probably heard a little bit about this. Let's go over the basics here.
All right.
So Maemo. Maemo is a there's something called Hilden. Hilden is basically a Linux distribution that's predominantly GNOME-based, or was predominantly GNOME-based. It is a Debian-based distribution targeted at these sorts of little devices, the internet tablets, the cool little gadgets. Now, then there was Moblin, right? Moblin was based on Ubuntu originally, and was developed at Intel.
In fact, we saw some early versions of it at Ubuntu 1.
And it's very cool. It's very, very cool OS. Hasn't really gotten a lot of traction. There's no real devices shipping with Moblin yet. Intel just hasn't gotten the community excited about it. All the development's really going on in-house for Moblin, whereas Maemo kind of has an active community base. Not a lot of devices shipping for it, mostly just essentially just the Nokia tablets.
And it's real active on the ARM side of the processor
on
house.
the ARM side,
Maemo Moblin was for Intel. Jeez.
Yep. And now recently they switched from an Ubuntu base to a Fedora base for the Moblin distro. Now, so they're
so Moblin went Fedora. Okay.
Went to Fedora.
Yep.
So now Maemo is Debian.
Yep.
Moblin is Fedora.
Right.
Now, for the Maemo side of things, they're like, you know what? Let's have a great SDK set. Let's make it great to develop applications for Maemo based devices. Let's add Qt on top of that, since Nokia owns Trolltech, which makes Qt as well as Maemo. So
bingo, with you.
So now they're merging. Kind of. What's happening is exactly this. We are getting a new OS that is called Migo. Now it has one too many me's in it, one too many e's.
Yes.
It's kind of like the Nintendo Wii thing, where I'm just like, whoa, that's one too many vowel in there. Yeah, it's a decent name from a marketing standpoint, but it annoys me. But this. From a name standpoint, come on, let's face it, no company can make a decent name nowadays. Everyone makes products with bad names. We just need to accept it.
It seems to be, unavoidable.
It's unavoidable. So we just have to look at it based on its merits. So what Migo is a essentially Moblin-based distribution that adds Qt on top of it.
Right.
And kind of is pulling together the Maemo community and the Maemo, some of the Maemo tools, and merging it with Moblin and creating one de facto system.
You almost nailed it. You're getting with Maemo and Moblin combining, you're getting more
Moblin than Maemo.
Way more Moblin. What you're getting from Maemo is Qt stuff,
you're
right?
Getting
and you're getting community.
Yeah, there is more
than
just
those two things primarily.
From the high level, the big thing you're getting is community and the Qt stack.
Because Moblin and now Migo are all going to be designed for Intel chips.
No, that's actually not true. So
you should look at this article I have here. They're doing. I mean, that's what the intention of the primary Migo devices are going to be Intel based. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to have an ARM version, but that's all Intel's interested in.
That may be all Intel's interested in, but from what I'm hearing is that Migo will have ARM support as well. Now, Moblin does not have ARM support currently. That doesn't mean it's not overly doable to add in an ARM build to it.
Okay.
So that's something that's still fairly doable.
So so the ARM side of things are not going away, which is great.
Right.
Because you can get some great machines with a great amount of power usage.
Great machines, great power usage. And since everything, theoretically, the primary software development stack is going to be Qt.
Right.
That means we get a lot of great dev tools like Qt Creator and the like to develop cool applications for Migo and Migo-based devices that will run on whatever processor they come out with just a recompile, basically, or hopefully.
Android uses what, GTK, and
kind of, sort of,
and the LIMO Foundation, which is like what 100 different manufacturers are a member of, and several cell phone companies, also says that Linux devices need to use GTK.
Yes.
So where does Migo fit into?
Now, Android doesn't really use GTK.
All right.
Android uses its own,
but it doesn't use
stack.
Qt either.
It does not use Qt.
So okay, so if you got the predominant Linux-based mobile platform doesn't use Qt, and then the other one which has hundreds of members, which are going to be in a Linux Handset Alliance, and they say use GTK.
Yep.
Where does Migo fit in?
Now, see, that's actually a really interesting topic. So what we've got here is Qt has a lot more market share in terms of desktop development across multiple platforms, where GTK has experienced a lot of success is in on these Linux devices currently. Right. But what's really good about that? Most of those, and I mean this in the best way possible because I'm a big GTK guy. But realistically, if you're making Migo, do you get anything for having predominant GTK support? Now, Migo has GTK out of the bag. Out of the bat. It has it. So you can run GTK apps just fine. But if you push it, what do you get for that? Are you getting like a whole ton of applications? No, not really. You have support for it, so you can bring over things like OpenOffice. Well, not even OpenOffice. That doesn't use GTK, but GTK-based applications you can bring over. But you don't really need to push it. You just support it. You have it. You have the availability for those applications. You don't gain anything by pushing it. What you do is you push your own more powerful, more tool-heavy Qt.
Right.
So Qt just has better development tools for developing these devices.
I mean, with Nokia, Nokia has considerable influence on the direction of the
huge
Qt toolkit, so they can push it. And I just don't. I don't see it. I really don't.
What don't you see?
Well,
I want to know.
If I'm hiring, like, for example, if my day job wanted to make an application for IT support, I got to tell you, with all the other devices out there, a Migo device is not even going to be on the list. They're going to have...
That's a tough one.
The number one thing they're going to have on their list is iPhone, followed by Android, followed by BlackBerry.
Yep.
And then if they eat, which they'll never even do the BlackBerry app. They'll just never get to it.
No, they'll never get to it.
Then the Android one will be butt. And then by the time they even get to any of that stuff, they're not going to do any other device.
You nailed it. The Android one will be butt.
They'll never do any...
No.
So in my opinion, if I'm a handset manufacturer, and I know that because I study this market and I'm watching it, and I have then I'm going to go, and I can't go with Apple's operating system, I don't have a choice there. So I'm going to go with number 2, Android. There's no way I'm going to go with this unknown.
So no, here's where I'm actually really excited about this. Now I have some bad things to say about Migo, and it's mostly from a technical standpoint.
All right.
But from a conceptual standpoint, this makes a huge amount of sense to me. Take a step back.
Okay.
All right. Now, if you're looking at, let's say a game developer, right? Let's say Cryptic making Star Trek Online.
All right.
They're, of course, what platforms are they going to make it for? They're going to make it for Windows because it has like 97 bazillion% market share. Fine. Okay, great. They're going to make it for that. Are they going to make it for another platform?
Probably not.
Probably not. What's the next platform they would probably make it for?
The 360.
Okay, 360 because it's got, at least some market share. How about next?
The Mac.
Okay, so now you're at this point, you're 3 platforms deep. At that point, they're probably going to stop and say, whoa, we've got enough. We've spent enough money on multiple platforms.
I don't think they'll go 3. I think they'd be best. You'd be very lucky if they did 2.
This is what I'm saying. So then what is it? What is it that's stopping them from making it for the Linux desktop? It's that there's not enough market share in any one centralized place.
For the same reason they're not going to make it for OS 10 because it uses DirectX.
Okay. but let's assume that it's a portable like OpenGL based application.
Right, okay.
That'd probably be a smart way to go. But see, that's the thing. So like last year.
Yep.
One of the things we talked about, remember when I did that whole Linux sucks thing up at Linux Fest?
Yeah.
And we talked about all these reasons that Linux is not so great
Linux
right
now,
there, and what it can do to get better. Well, what's one of the big things that it can do? A lot of what it needs to do is stop being so fragmented.
Yeah.
So we've got, multiple package managers, multiple SDKs that people are developing from.
Multiple distributions with multiple different kernel versions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then let's look at the mobile space.
Okay.
On the Linux side of things, you kind of have Android, but honestly, Android's not really Linuxy. Android's running Linux underneath of it, and then it's really a Java stack. Really, it's a Java-based mobile platform.
You don't, as
really
a user, you never know.
You never know.
Unless you root it, you don't care.
So what is it? What is it in the mobile space that would really make Linux the thing? Well, to start with, you've got all these different players. You've got Intel with mobile, and you've got Nokia with Maemo, and you've got a whole bunch of other players out there doing their different things.
Right.
Why not band together and make one that's greater than what we
I'm not against that at all.
So in order to make the market share big, in order to make it so that when applications want to go ahead and develop those applications for those Linux-based devices, you need to band together. You need to team up.
Well,
you need to cut your overall
I agree,
R&D costs.
But why not go with the superior technology?
What is the superior technology?
Well, in this case, it was Maemo.
No. Hold on.
So
that's
Maemo
actually not true. That's actually
out.
hold on. So the thing that you're getting, the reason that you see the base OS in Migo is really the thing that was based on Moblin as opposed to Maemo is that from my understanding, is that the build tools and the general architecture around building Moblin was much more sophisticated, was much more advanced than that of Maemo. Maemo had some serious shortcomings in that regard, so they could build the core of it much easier in Moblin. And then add the user space stuff.
Despite that, I guess what I'm bummed about is
RPM.
A little bit.
Using RPM as a package manager instead of Debian.
Yeah. I honestly think...
Is that it?
Well,
I mean, is that no, so what else? What else would be bad about it?
Because this is out shipping and working today.
Yeah.
And now it's essentially gone.
Not really. So here's the crazy thing.
You can't go down to Best Buy and you cannot buy a Moblin N900.
No, you buy a Maemo N900.
Exactly. And now that product that's already out on the market, that already has a brand new product that you ship with it, is dead.
The applications that are developed on the Maemo tablet that I've got in front of me, the N900, etc.
Did you say they're going to make an ARM version? But I guarantee it's going to be Intel focused. And the N900 is a dead device now, and it sucks.
See, I don't see the N900 as a dead device
They
yet.
haven't even confirmed that they're backporting Migo to the N900.
That's true. However, on the Migo's website, all the pictures of the Migo devices are N900s.
Photoshop.
They're not Photoshop. They're
Photoshop. It's Photoshop.
Well, the picture on the front of the page with a lady holding it is just an N900. Now, that doesn't mean that it's running Migo. That doesn't mean anything. It just means that it's a dead device that they're looking at.
It's the same problem with the Windows 7 phones that now make the Windows 6.5 phones dead devices.
See, I
it's the same exact setup.
No, it's not. Here's the difference. So
how is it any different?
So Windows Mobile 6.5 versus Windows Mobile Series 7 Series Phone Series 7 Windows Phone.
Right, phone.
Phone Series.
Professional professional edition.
I think I missed like 2 series.
Premium home professional edition.
All right, so the big difference is the applications on Windows Mobile 6.5 can't be run or even recompiled to run under the new Windows phones.
Right.
However,
or they can be recompiled to run on that.
However, all Qt, GTK, and clutter-based applications that currently run on the N900 can be recompiled to run
Nobody's
on Migo.
Going to do it.
They're already doing it.
It's not...
It's not that nobody's going to do it. They're already doing it. It's already
guys
to the point
like
where
you,
it's done.
Other guys that are out there like you are doing it. But TomTom is never going to do it.
TomTom doesn't even have an application for this yet.
That is my point. The big names have already stuck their claim in there. And
I don't think
here's the thing. You already had a device with an operating system on the market
shipping
that people could make applications for today.
Yes.
Now, that looks a little weird. You don't know where that's at. So now, any chance that this had to get some leg up, gone now. They're going to take 6 months off, whatever the hell it's going to be. And then the iTunes store, everybody's just going to keep making for iTunes and Android. They just gave themselves they just set themselves further back.
I agree on one standpoint that I would like to see, like, let's say Nokia come out and say the N900 will have Migo on such and such a date. It was already a little bit up in the air as to whether or not the N900 would support Maemo 6. Yes. It was an unknown. It was an unknown if they were going to get that update. So nothing has actually changed with the announcement of Migo in regards to Nokia's current offering, the N900. There is no change.
It still ships with Maemo.
It still ships with Maemo.
The dead operating system. The operating system that no longer exists. They're shipping it with an
Kinda,
operating system
sorta.
that doesn't even ship
But
anymore.
that's like saying though that like you change your kernel version and your package manager in Linux Mint in the next version,
No, what
so
I'm saying
all
is,
applications
I'm saying
will
they
stop
got
running.
they
for
got
it. That's
Maemo.
not true.
No, what
the
I'm saying.
applications won't stop running. They're still going to have those
No,
running
I'm saying
applications.
if you bought a MacBook Pro yesterday, and Apple,
Yeah.
discontinued making OS 10.
Okay, are they start to making OS 11 that ships with
Maybe-
that allows you to run all your Mac OS 10 applications?
We think we think they're probably going to make a release for your MacBook, but we're not positive yet. And we think probably a lot of the applications will work, but maybe not all of them.
Oh no. So you're looking at it from the point of view of sales of the N900 as a piece of hardware over the next few months, not as the platform.
Or as people that bought it are now just got screwed.
Oh no, that very well may be.
Because I feel like if you just bought an N900, wouldn't you kind of feel like it's a little end of life, a little bit?
Yes.
Because
Yes,
it's either way, it's never going to be a true Migo device.
I think no, that's not true.
No,
Now,
but I mean, it's not going to be like a device built for Migo. Like,
actually,
you know
that's
how,
not 100% true.
I don't think so, dude.
The only
I think
device
they're gonna
that's
come
out there to dev against right now is the N900. I mean, this is a consortium of community, Nokia plus Intel,
and I think that'll buy
only
it some legroom. But when
is
you've
the
got
N900.
Intel loses money for every one of these Migo devices that's going to ship on an ARM chip.
So let me ask you this.
So there's going to be, for the number one player in this, the largest business that's in this association.
Well, have you looked through the whole thing with Migo?
I'm just saying they're doing it to push the x86
community
platform.
driven.
Their plan is to eventually push the x86 platform in this space.
Oh yeah.
So
that's Intel's motivation.
And this is not
they wanna
based.
sell
The
chips.
N900 is not based on an x86 chip.
No, of course it's not.
So
but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now,
I'm
Migo
saying you're
going to
get a year out of that thing.
But Migo can run on 10 different platforms. It doesn't matter. That's not the point of Migo. Migo is a distribution and a community-driven platform that can be used for mobile devices, set-top boxes, whatnot. I bet
Unless
you we will.
Unless it's a picture frame, you'll never buy a device.
Mark my words. We will have devices before the end of the year for this. Now we may not have a ton.
I think there's going to be 900 Android devices, and there's going to be 7 conceptual devices that run Migo, and maybe 1 or 2 that ship, and one of them is going to be a picture frame.
You think so?
Yeah.
Really?
I think they killed the product, and I think they've just handed the market over in this space.
I'm really.
And not only that, but Chrome OS is going to be out, and I know you think Chrome OS doesn't have any functionality, but vendors are going to want to ship a product, a Chrome OS product, because it's going to have Google's logo on it, and that's going to sell it just because of that.
Wait a minute. Hey, Chris. I'm being super positive.
Yeah.
And you're being super negative.
Well, no,
hold on.
I'd say it's great for Android.
Well, I think something flip-flopped between seasons 10 and 11, man, because I am feeling like super optimistic, and even the negativity cannot dissuade me, and you're all like Brian ranting over there.
No, what I'm saying, it's great news for Android.
Well, am I wrong, ladies and gentlemen? Chris is acting like a Brian right now. You are totally pulling a Brian and being a negative Nancy.
I guarantee you, in 2 years, there will be 10 times the WebOS devices that there are Migo devices, and that's not saying anything.
You know what? I honestly, I've got a pretty good vibe about this, just because.
Right. I mean, I'd be thrilled. I hope it works.
From my point of view, Nokia is a major player in the mobile space.
Yeah,
they are a bigger player than Apple is, and they are a bigger player than Google is currently.
But they're playing. But see, the thing is what you got to remember is they're not playing. Nokia is huge in a segment that never wants to own a smartphone. They're huge in the E91 and the really cool old school phones. Yeah. But they are not in the market that is buying devices.
Even like the
tablets.
N65s, the more fancier phones, really never sold in that huge a quantity.
They don't even. Yep. So
however,
their name is good, but
their name is good. They sell big now, and Intel, of course, is over there and is big into other types of devices, set-top boxes, netbooks, those sorts of things. They both need a platform. Mm-hmm. They both want to spend as little money on it as possible. That part
makes sense.
And that is why they're doing this.
Oh, yeah.
So they want a fancy pants platform.
But it didn't seem so rushed and sudden. Like, hey, everybody, everything's going great. Don't look over here. Doop, doop, boom.
That's the part that's kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah, it's just
I don't think anyone in the Maemo community or the Moblin community, which there's not really much of a Moblin community, let's be honest, saw this one coming.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to be honest. I was pissed for about 24 hours. For about 24 hours, I'm like, I had the exact same reaction as you. I'm like, crap. this is all done. The N900s are dead. I was just going to go buy one pretty soon here. And I'm like, forget it. I don't even want one.
Right, yeah.
Maimo's gone, and I love Maimo, and it's totally dead. And then I really sat down and thought about it. I'm like, what is it that needs to happen in this space? Where do we have to go?
Yeah.
They need to do something like this. Why not do it now? Why not do it right now when the whole mobile space is in total turmoil right now?
Yeah,
I mean, Windows Mobile is a dead platform for the next 7 to 8 months before the new Windows Mobile phone ships.
Yeah.
And a bunch of Android phones are coming out right now, but let's be honest, the turnover rate in Android phones is incredibly high. People are not satisfied with their current Android phones in general.
I'd say the general impression is it's so close.
Is it so close? Right. And then people are on the iPhone, but a lot of the early adopters in the iPhone are looking for something new. And so everyone's looking around and they're not quite sure what's going on. Yeah. So if you're going to have a downtime, if
you need to have a product today.
If
you really do, and they don't.
But they don't. But if you were going to have a downtime, better have it now than a year from now.
See, the thing is, that's why I like it right here. You got to try a Nexus 1. Because I was poo-pooing the Nexus 1 as, it's just going to crash faster than my Droid does. But now that I've overclocked my Droid...
Now, I've tried the Nexus 1.
I've
played around with the Nexus 1. It's much better than most of the existing Android phones. And I like Android. I'm not going to dog on Android.
It's still not great. Like, I still have crashes. It's not there yet.
Here's the thing. Here's why I think this is a bigger deal than Android. On Android-based phones, if you throw in like a 1.2 gigahertz Snapdragon, right? Totally awesome little processor in this little tiny device. It still gets like a day of battery life, and it's still not that fast.
Right.
Why? Because it's a completely Java-based stack.
No, I agree.
It's going to use more processing time. It's going to use more RAM just to do the basics. Now, I think that's great from a development standpoint. I like Java. It's a good language, but there are limitations there. On Migo or Maimo,
but don't you
using
think,
Qt or Clutter or GTK, any of the available toolkits, you write native,
you get nice
OpenGL accelerated, fast applications, small memory footprints, lower battery usage. You end up with better battery life, cheaper devices, faster performance.
But if your argument is
right to go from a technological
standpoint,
if
your argument is Android is slow, well then doesn't all that take is a dual core Snapdragon? I mean, doesn't it just take the Snapdragon processor to get better?
You mean more expensive machines that don't actually exist yet?
Well, I mean, like how technology always just improves.
Here's the thing. I've got this 3-year-old NA10 here. It is significantly faster.
I think Android
than Android.
I'm saying I think Android has so much time because nothing else is ready to compete with the Android and the iPhone yet.
So here's the thing.
I think Android has enough time for processors to get significantly better and get much faster.
So just let's say flash forward a year and a half from now.
All right.
Android is on version 3. You know, it's rocking out. They've really made it a lot better than what it is now, but it's still, a Java-based stack. Migo has had its first 1.1 kind of release. It has, say, not many devices, maybe 2, right? Say maybe 2 phones are out there right now, like an N910 and like some other thing from Qualcomm or something. Who knows?
Okay.
Both of them have, let's say, a 2 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon. One of them runs completely native OpenGL accelerated applications.
Right.
One of them runs Java. Now, hold on. Both of them have a lot of applications available.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for like these Maimo devices, there's a lot of apps already available.
No, there's not going to be.
But there is already. Hell, I've got tons of games.
There is a fraction of what's available for the Android. And there's a fraction on the Android of what's available for the iPhone. So it already has, by default, even if it has...
I've got OpenOffice on this thing,
even if it has 15,000 applications, it already has the smallest application base.
If I can run... So on this one, I can run a full OpenOffice suite. I can run K-Office.
It doesn't matter.
I can run all these other things. To me, that matters.
That matters to you, but you are 0.0000005% of the consumer market.
But I think that's going to shift because I think what people are going to be wanting is not an iPhone that can run one app that doesn't really do crap.
But I think at the same time,
a mobile computer in their pocket.
But see, the curve of people wanting that, the curve of people wanting that is also the curve of 3G everywhere, WiMAX everywhere, Wi-Fi everywhere, hosted Google Docs, things like that. Yeah. And then people are just going to run... The only application people are really going to run is a web browser.
Now, that may be very well true.
So I don't know.
But I'm still saying, I'm willing to put $10 on the table right now. This is not going to be overcoming the iPhone, Android market in the next year, but I think this is a big deal.
I think it'd be awesome.
I think this is a huge deal. And I think this is the right way to go.
Like you said, I would like native apps. It is... Qt and Clutter, all that stuff.
Yep.
Awesome. Everything you need for awesome applications. Awesome. So I'm hopeful. All right, well, why don't we move on to the next story in the news docket?
There's another story? I think that's pretty much all that happened this week.
Well, Symbian, we should talk about Symbian here for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Symbian has gone open source 4 months earlier. Symbian has completed the process of open sourcing their entire code base in advance of its June deadline. While the release is ahead of schedule, the first phones, expected to be out early next year, will be in the market more than 2 years after the first Android phone became available. The code is expected to become available on the Symbian developer page soon with an SDK.
Nice. That's awesome. I mean,
good for the Symbian guys, right?
You know, yeah. I mean, see now I feel about Symbian like I think you feel about Migo. I'm just not. To me, I'm looking at it. And I'm like,
nice picture they have of like everybody being happy though.
Well, I want to be happy.
Yeah,
I do want to be happy, guys.
Brian.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in Symbian,
I love it. It's great. You know, and now that you know you can do Qt on Symbian, that's good. You know, so you can do Qt development across multiple devices.
Absolutely, dude.
I like that.
Good point. Why don't we bang up the last story on the news docket? The how do you pronounce it, Brian?
Nouveau.
The open source implementation of a 3D Nvidia Driver framework.
Oh, finally!
Wow. Is well out and working.
It's actually there.
It's actually out and working.
The next version of Fedora is going to ship with it by default.
And so get this. So is Ubuntu 10.04. But because Ubuntu 10.04 is using an older version of the kernel and a recent change in Nouveau required that you have this kind of direct memory management to get to the NVIDIA card. Like they have to backport crap from the 2.6.3 kernel to the 2. It's wild what Ubuntu's doing to get 10.04 in there.
That's pure
for
wild.
This thing. And well, I'm really excited. I think this is awesome. And people are telling me like to get working on Fedora is crazy easy, and that's cool. The problem I have is the benchmarks are terrible. Terrible. Now, this, of course, will be worked out. But if you're watching the video version, the bars...
not good.
So, those are not good bars. And then also, you go here... so here is a 3-line bar graph or a 4-line bar graph. The green bar is the NVIDIA closed source driver. The red bar is 1 generation ago's video card. And then the very bottom bar is the Nouveau.
Oh, man. So basically what it comes down to is you can use Nouveau to run Compiz and all your other effects for your desktop. But the moment you want to start really gaming, not going to happen.
But that's awesome.
It's a huge step in the right direction.
And you know they're going to get it more optimized.
And it's great.
Plus, there's alternative drivers already out there that can get a little more performance. Now, this was actually with one of the more cutting-edge performance-based drivers. But it's you know what? Just to have basic 3D functionality is a great step.
Huge step.
Down the road, you know, I'd love to see, obviously, these performance numbers come up. And then the other thing I'd love to see, if possible, is the way to do some of that GPU compute type stuff where you can send some processing, maybe through OpenCL or something like that, to the GPU. But I understand that's stuff that,
it's down the line. It's more complicated. It's going to take a lot of time. But hey, at least it's working now.
About time.
Seriously.
I mean, not that it took them a long time. It's just awesome to have now.
It kind of did. I mean, we talked about, I think we broke this story 3 years ago.
Right, we did. Yeah.
It was about 3 years ago, roughly today. So
it's pretty wild.
It's a little long time ago, but it's working. So to you, Nouveau guys,
absolutely.
Way to go.
All right, everyone. Well, that's all the news for this week.
Right. I do believe that brings us to the end of the first show of season 11 after we came back and weren't not on the air anymore.
Now we are on the air.
Now we are on the air.
And it's a new season.
Anymore.
And we're weekly.
We're weekly. Thank God.
We're coming back to weekly.
Way too long, man. Yeah. We went to bi-weekly a long time ago.
Well, life is busy. Life is still busy, but we've gotten an efficient process down here.
We've made it so we can record these a whole hell of a lot faster. We can get the news to you that much quicker.
And
that much faster,
this is a little bit shorter of an episode, but just because we went so long in the news segment. I think we're going to do some more reviews. I think we've got some reviews on the
we got a lot of stuff lined up for the rest of season 11. It's going to be big, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be big.
So,
heaping helpings of large.
We're also steadily improving the video version of the show, so you can watch that over on the JupiterBroadcasting.com website. You can download several beautiful, tasty flavors, including Og Theora, which I work my butt off, and only 12 of you download. So that's there if you'd like it.
I feel horrible. Even at home, I got a little Ubuntu up and rocking there. I don't grab the OGG version of the show. I just don't. I don't think to click on the OGG version.
The OGG version, the Og Theora version, is the smallest of the videos, but it's also the lowest resolution.
So I just don't grab it.
Yeah,
I don't.
But it just if I do the bit rate like I do the H.264, the file size just
it gets huge.
Yeah.
It gets huge.
And I also
we
wanted
put
to
it up
say,
there for you.
One of the things we're going to be doing, if you want to help support the show, is, of course, we do have the store over at jupiterbroadcasting.com/store. And we're also going to be featuring a recommended awesome product in each show. You can find that over at the show notes of each episode. And if it's something you think is cool, if you buy that, it's through Amazon, but we get a little percentage.
We get a little fraction.
Doesn't cost you anything, but helps us out.
It's very tiny. It's very tiny.
Yep.
But it's something.
And let us know what you think.
If like 1 million of you do it, we would make like $10,000.
That'd be awesome.
So 1 million of you should buy like something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And we'll be totally rich for like this month.
Yeah.
This month we'll be rich.
That'd be awesome.
Woo!
Good thinking, Brian.
Thank you.
And if you'd love to give us feedback, or we'd love to get your feedback, you can do that over at JupiterColony.com. There's a section there just for Linux Action Show.
It's been there forever. You can go there, the Linux Action Show forum. There's all these other forums. The Linux Action Show was like the first one. The very first forum we've ever even had.
It's true.
Is that not true?
That's true, because while Cast Blast was originally the first show, we didn't have a forum until Linux Action Show.
Exactly.
Yep.
And we don't even do Cast Blast right now.
No.
So we should mention really briefly about the Computer Action Show.
Okay.
We're not really doing it anymore.
Yeah, you know,
at least for right now.
Just like this show, we're always interested in your feedback, but we think it's better if we can focus on one show and just try to make that the best show possible.
And you know what? Come on. There's like 1 million shows out there that go around talking about Windows Phone, Mobile 7 series, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
I mean,
and oh my gosh, Apple has an
that.
iPad.
I think I liked our take on that format, but there is a niche to serve, and that niche is awesome.
Come on. Exactly. We're going to be awesome. We're Linux Action Show, baby.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
This is the show that you're listening to.
That's right. And we want to thank you for listening to it, and you'll be able to find us next Sunday over at JupiterBroadcasting.com. And until then, everyone, thanks so much for listening or watching to this week's episode.
Later, everybody.